Let's see if you can get this one. Coming up next, an interview with a famous singer-songwriter who's renowned for her confessional writing and character-driven narratives, but technically, she only had one hit. But that one hit was massive. It was number one on several charts and won Grammys for Record of the Year and Song of the Year for one of the most iconic albums of the year it was released. And then right in the middle of her Grammy speech, a rapper jumped on the stage and protested a rival artist winning over his group. Today's song, though, is a classic of its time. It actually came from this artist's friend, her painting, actually. Today's artist loved her friend's painting so much she made it the album cover, and it sparked the idea for this classic song that was about a woman who started her own house on fire. The interview, great ones, coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. If you want the straight stories behind rock's legendary hits, make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the white bell and click the notification button so you know when our great stuff drops. We have some really good interviews coming out. Also, check us out at professorofrock.com and sign up there. So I'm excited to bring you another episode from our series Revelations, where featured artists go deep on their greatest songs and albums, insight you will not find anywhere else. Today, we have a beloved singer-songwriter who wrote one of the best character-driven songs of her time. It was actually inspired by her friend's painting. The song went to number one on the AC charts and the adult top 40 and went to number 7 on the pop charts in the middle of chart dominance by the Spice Girls and Puff Daddy. Hers was a moody folk song about a woman who decides to burn her house down to escape her problems. It's a very haunting song for sure. I know you'll remember it. See if you guessed her right. Shawn Colvin with the classic Sonny Came Home.
Sonny came home to her favorite.
It was released in 1997, and it went nowhere. Then it got re-released and stormed the charts. The painting that inspired the song was from Shawn Colvin's friend Julie Speed. It not only inspired the song, but was the album cover. It was titled A Few Small Repairs. Colvin had never really written songs about characters at this point. They were always in the first person. She said she was finally feeling comfortable enough to write a story instead of all the songs being so personal.
She says days go by, I'm here.
And at the 1998 Grammy Awards, this song won major awards for Song of the Year and Record of the Year, the big ones. And in the middle of her acceptance speech, or when she was going to give it, the rapper Old Dirty Bastard jumped on stage to protest his group Wu-Tang Clan getting beat by Puff Daddy for Best Rap Album that year, saying Wu-Tang is for the children. We teach the children. You know what I mean?
Wu-Tang is for the children. We teach the children. You know what I mean?
I'm confused now.
It was a strange moment for sure, but it could never diminish the power of Sonny Came Home, which was a treasured surprise in a time when mainstream music was going downhill fast.
Sonny sat down in the kitchen.
Coming up next, Shawn Colvin tells us the story of this haunting song and its origin, so let's get into it. Sonny Came Home is a song that I've waited a long time to be able to ask you about because that's a song that's always been this catchy pop song but dark undertones.
Days go by, I'm hypnotized.
It really makes you listen and study the lyrics, and number 7 on the pop charts, number 1 on the adult AC chart, I mean everywhere. It probably would have been number 1. They didn't release the single until later.
Is that right?
Yeah, because they saw that it was doing well on the charts, and they were about 4 or 5 weeks late because it was number 1 on the airplay chart and only number 27.
You know way more than I do about it. I was like, what? This is fun.
I think it would have been number 1.
Sonny came home with a mission.
Let's talk through that song because there's been so many urban legends about, the song's about the burning bed, the book, or you would watch Reversal of Fortune. You know, I've heard that one.
It's what an innocent man would say.
I know. Reversal of Fortune.
The mandolin part that starts it out, you know. Came up with the words and the melody because John came up with that, but you came up with the words and the melody and it just went from there. Tell me the story behind that.
It was the last song to be finished for A Few Small Repairs. I had written a whole nother set of lyrics that I never finished. So I just put it on the back burner and I was stuck. But I knew I didn't want a photo of myself on the album cover. I'd done that. I thought, And we kind of felt like we're going to do whatever we want here. We've listened to the powers that be about singles and artwork and things like that. And, you know, it's not like we broke through in any big way. So let's just do what we want. So I said, I want this painting. And so it was after I had decided on the cover, I wrote the song. I thought, well, just, you know, be a marketing genius and write the song about the woman in the cover.
Sonny came home to her favorite room.
Yeah, it was kind of calculated.
Sonny von Bülow, because
Yeah.
that's what Reversal of Fortune is about.
Yeah.
So that's not correct.
That was Mary Chapin's idea. We would riff on Reversal of Fortune when we would do gigs together. We'd imitate Jeremy Irons.
When I married Sonny, she was the most beautiful divorcee in the world and one of the wealthiest.
No, it had nothing to do with Sonny
because
von
people
Bülow.
philosophize that's if Sonny would have woken up from the coma,
That's
you know?
right. Chapin started that.
Yeah.
It's a great story. No,
Yeah.
it was just a woman with a match and a fire, and it just went from there. And I think somebody did her wrong pretty seriously.
Yeah.
She had kids, so I would say there was probably a not very nice person involved.
Yeah.
Sonny sat down in the kitchen.
You focused on the imagery in the song. That's what I love about the lyrics, the kitchen, the tools, the fire, all those kinds of things.
Opened a book and a box of tools.
I did read somewhere that you said that you did think of something that you'd done where you got over a relationship and you burnt all the paraphernalia from the relationship. And that was maybe your only tie personally to the song, you know, but...
Yeah, I've had a couple pyro moments in my life where I burned up memorabilia from relationships.
Into the fire.
But I want to jump into the lyrics a little bit. And I know that we need to keep the songs mysterious, but just a little bit go into, I love how you end each verse with something about what Sonny came home with a mission. Sonny came home with a vengeance.
Sonny came home with a vengeance.
And just a great chorus too. Tell me about that when you were writing that. Do you remember anything where you were...
Being calculated about
Yeah.
those things. The mission rhymed with kitchen.
Right.
Vengeance I wanted to use because it was just such a good word and it was
is.
strong.
And
you
it
know.
hits that
so
part so well.
transcendence was rough because it was like I got to come up with something that rhymes with vengeance. You know.
She didn't believe in transcendence.
It just wasn't that hard, and it wasn't that calculated. And the list of names, I don't know. It just came to me.
Yeah.
I didn't struggle. Once I kind of
One of those moments
realized
where
that-
the muse kind of touched you.
kind of did, you know. It was just, and I love wordplay, you know. I mean, when things are going well, I don't often know that it's going somewhere. I just like the way the words trip off each other.
Yeah.
There's a, you know, what do they call it? Alliteration.
Oh, yeah.
Things like that. And I think some of that, and just the image of just somebody working on getting some, getting some payback.
And it's time for a few small repairs, she said.
You hear the match at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
got that?
I
Yeah.
love that.
The strike a match, go on and do it. That
Yeah,
was
that-
that was Madonna. Strike a pose.
Yeah, that bridge.
Yeah.
I love that bridge. Get the kids and bring a sweater. Dry is good and wind is better. Count their years, you always knew it. Strike a match.
Strike a
Go and do it.
pose.
And I love how you end it when you just say she's out there on her own and she's all right. That just wraps the story up perfectly.
Yeah.
She's out there on her own.
I'm getting kind of chills about my own song right now.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And then the Grammy to almost a decade later win contemporary folk Grammy, but to win record of the year and song of the year. I mean,
Forget
what the
it.
heck?
Song of the Year is a songwriter's Grammy.
And yeah,
How'd that happen?
and to share it with John,
Yeah.
who's been with you forever, you know,
Yeah.
that was so cool.
And the record, like I said, we were very carefree. We didn't have expectations.
Yeah.
We didn't speak to radio. That wasn't our
right.
overview. And it's just so ironic.
Well, speaking about the way it is,
Yeah.
that's not a song that you peg and say that's a number one hit. This is a song that you wouldn't peg and say is a number one hit, even though it's really catchy. But that mandolin and how you come in with it. Do you remember how that mandolin came out because John was playing it? Because that's such a distinct sound.
He just had already written it. But I think another reason I kind of got to harken back to Luca a little bit because it was a story. It was a mystery.
If you hear something late at night.
And that seemed to spark people, so to speak. That there was, what is this story? What did she do, you know?
Sonny sat down in the kitchen.
Well, the song of the year when you won that Grammy, that was that moment where Wu-Tang Clan, that was...
Old Dirty Bastard.
Old Dirty Bastard, yeah.
Shawn Colvin and John Leventhal, songwriters for Sonny King.
I said, I went and bought me an outfit today that costed a lot of money today.
I called myself the original, Taylor and Kanye situation.
I know.
It's true.
It is.
It's true. I was pre-Kanye.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the children, Wu-Tang is for the children. We teach the children. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was
But he was just saying we're for the children.
Wu-Tang is for the children.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, he didn't say we didn't deserve it.
No.
But
it's just so incredible to me, though, that you won those Grammys like a year and a half after the album had been out. I mean, it had been another Grammy cycle. That's what was so cool about that song.
It's true, and that's where I kind of got to hand it to Columbia because they hammered it for the time I was signed to the time A Few Small Repairs came out. I mean, they built this following of mine and this sort of awareness in radio, and they built it by me going out there and pounding the pavement like crazy. And I did that. And I just think that doesn't happen as much these days. And there are good reasons for it,
Yeah.
You're not going to go to every radio station because they're not there,
It's a song that still resonates today. And that's what's so great about it.
Thank you.
Sonny came home.
So this just popped into my head. I did an interview about 4 years ago with Mary Chapin.
Yeah.
And she said that you had said, and I just have to ask you about it, that she said that the proof that there's a God is that the Beatles met each other.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I don't know how you could have grown up in the 60s and not be influenced by the Beatles or, I don't know, directly or indirectly, but just have a love for their music. As a very good friend of mine says, she says that the proof for her that God exists is that the Beatles met one another.
I love that. That's great. I'm going to have to use that.
You can credit Shawn Colvin for that.
Oh, yeah. Another
great singer-songwriter
person that you've worked with many times.
Yes.
Can you imagine how different the world would be if that wouldn't have happened?
No, and how lucky we are to have been in on it, when it started. I mean, what was I, 8? It wasn't long before my best friend's older siblings started buying the Beatles records. I saw them in Ed Sullivan too, and I was...
Yeah.
And I remember when I went in the store, finally I'd saved up my $2.99 or whatever it was and bought Meet the Beatles. And I was just red-faced. I was so embarrassed, because I was so in love, at 8 years old. Yeah.
You got a job singing background vocals with Suzanne Vega on Luca.
My name is Luca.
Huge song, 1987. And tell me how that experience came about.
Well, I lived in New York, and so did she. And there was a scene, a folk scene, a songwriter scene. I wasn't really part of that songwriter scene because I wasn't really writing. I was starting to around 87. Well, I'd been writing in the 80s, but I was writing some pretty bad stuff. Pop music. I was kind of emulating Steely Dan. I wasn't doing too good. And me and John Leventhal. And so there was a club called the Speakeasy, and an offshoot project of that club was something called the Fast Folk Collective or Cooperative. I can't remember which. They put out a record a month of different artists, and they did it in the bass player's basement, and Suzanne hit it. She was the first. We were all friends, and she asked me to sing an part, on
Yeah.
Luca.
Last question, Shawn, looking back on your life, your career, both your personal life and your career, at this moment, what are you most grateful for?
I'm grateful for the longevity. This is what I love to do. I don't know how to do anything else, so I'd be screwed if I couldn't do this. And people come to see me.
Oh, yeah.
And we make our living out on the road now, or I do. And I have fans. Otherwise, it'd be curtains for me, So, and so I'm immensely grateful for that, and that I still love to do it. That helps. And I have a 20-year-old daughter, and if you're as happy as your unhappiest kid, I think is the way they put it. So when your kid's happy, you're happy.
Oh, yeah.
And when you get them to about 20 or 21, you kind of do like,
Yeah.
okay, I kept her alive till then. So it's my daughter, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Shawn, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for
you.
the music. We really appreciate how much it's touched so many lives. Mine, now my kids are discovering it. It's a great thing about
Well,
music.
if I could just say real quick, people seem to think that if they say that you've heard it all the time and, oh, you must be sick of it. And the soundtracks to my life healed me, got me through, were vital. If I'm a soundtrack to somebody else's life, what could be a better compliment? What could be more of an honor?
Yeah.
So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sonny came home.
It's hard to believe that this was Shawn's only hit because she's written so many great songs. Leave us a comment below about this song, about this artist. What are your memories of the song? What are your memories of the Grammys? It's back when, it was still kind of exciting. And let's have a great discussion. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.